know you are in pain right now and you can't play, but you have to embrace the pain and everything. So, those who have played sports, if the opponent sees that one of the player has injury, they usually target that person, especially rugby. Causing me to, I don't, it was a very big wound here. I was injured again. I was injured again. I cried. I cried. So, uh, I'm sorry. Today, my mind is clouded because I'm sharing this story because on Friday, I lost my friend. And it takes me back because I was to give another story, but I'm using this story because the Lord reminded me of that time. So, I lost a friend that he was not only my classmate, but also my player mate. So in rugby, there's the fly half, scrum half, and then me. So that player, he was my best friend. So I remember when I got that injury, he was there trying to push me. Uh, it's a scar because I left limping that day because I could not come out because when I came out, I would have lost the final, the semi-final. And losing the semi-final meant we won't go to the regionals. And I wanted like a certificate, at least to show that I played sports in high school. I did something because my brother, my big brother, had a lot of certificates, and his certificates was academic certificates, best in physics, best in English, best debater, best in maths, all this. So I was telling God. I remember that day I prayed. I was telling God, God, I'm not leaving this pitch if I don't get a win. I'm not. I will pray through this pain. Whether they break my arm, whether they break my neck, I'm going to play. I'm going to play because I was saying, God, I remember when joining high school, people had these high expectations that I'm going to surpass my brother. But I told my mom, I'm going to be different. So with this difference, I wanted a certificate to show that I at least I did something in high school. Because if ukitoka ukifika regionals, that's where you get the certificates of participation. So I remember after the injury, I could not walk. Even the ref, the St. John's ambulance were like, man, you can't play, you can't run. I remember just telling them, bandage the wound. You just bandage it, put ice on it if you want, but I have to go back to that pitch. The match was delayed, but I got up. And the fun thing is, sports, it's ni game haina huruma. The opponent saw how limping I was, and I was still the main man to target because that was the loophole. That's where they knew that pale ndo tuna target tukitaka, and that opponent that time was Shimo, and Shimo were giants. We were facing them in the semi. Shimo were in rugby. Shimo were giants, and if tungetolewa hiyo inamaanisha ndo hivyo, because the two people that who wanafika semi ndo wanaenda regionals. Whether you lose or win, you're still going to the regional. I played that game with that injury, and I remember after that, I couldn't go to school for 2 weeks. I was at home for 2 good weeks. And some of the scars you have are not just physical ones. Some of the scars you have are from the battles you didn't choose, from seasons you didn't understand. Scars from nights you wrestled with God and said, I won't let go until you bless me. Jacob told God, I won't let go, God, until you bless me. And when we look at the story of Jacob before that time, he had a lot. He wasn't a perfect man. We remember Jacob deceived Esau. See, we know that. And not only deceived Esau, he also manipulated his father, Isaac, into blessing him. he also bargained with Laban, his father-in-law. And that night, on to our first point, and at that, wrestling is not rebellion. Wrestling is not rebellion. And we get to learn that Jacob wasn't fighting with God out of anger. He was desperate for change. Jacob wasn't fighting with God out of anger. He was desperate for change. He spent his whole life trying to control the outcomes, deceiving Esau, manipulating Isaac, and bargaining with Laban. Now, when Jacob was alone after alikrosisha all his household, he realized his strength had reached its limits. Some of us, sometimes you realize, you come to a place that you realize your strength, the strength that you've been fighting, that you've been holding, usually comes to an end, usually comes to its limit. So Jacob wrestled not to resist God, but to hold on to him. When he had nothing left, this was not rebellion, it was surrender through struggle. Sometimes faith doesn't look like stillness, it looks like a fight in the dark between who you've been and who God is calling you to be, to become. That's faith sometimes. Faith doesn't